exclusives from the campaign trail only ABC News gets. Behind the scenes, exclusive access.
Taking you inside for an extraordinary tour here on ABC News Live. This is it.
It's time to go there, be there, experience it live on the scene. Maybe that's why, in just 1 year, ABC News Live is already America's #1 live streaming news. And imagine this, it's free. Watch ABC News Live right now and anytime, streaming on Roku, Hulu, Facebook, and abcnews.com.
ABC News Live, streaming everywhere, right to you.
Checking the top stories on this Friday, the U.S. has set another record for daily cases of coronavirus with a 71% increase in cases in the last 2 weeks. Hospitalizations have hit a record high for the third consecutive day. Some hospitals in the Midwest are running out of room.
President-elect Joe Biden is the projected winner in the state of Arizona, picking up its 11 electoral votes. China has now offered its congratulations to Biden on his election victory. Meanwhile, President Trump is reportedly telling allies that he may run for the White House again in 2024.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is in the spotlight after speaking to conservative lawyers. He claimed religious believers in the U.S. are under threat from gay rights and abortion advocates. Alito also warned that freedom of expression is at risk.
Today's weather, a major storm barrels into the northwest, bringing heavy rain and feet of snow to the mountains. Rain also from Texas to the Midwest and some showers along the East Coast.
And finally, the emotional reunion between a mother and son.
Will Gann spoke to a man who found his birth mom after searching for decades.
The reunion between mother and son, 45 years in the making.
I've been searching for a long time. I always knew which adoption agency I came from. So I've contacted them 100 times.
In 1975, Brenda Van Sickle was only 16 years old when she delivered a baby boy.
Yet another storm that we're watching in the Caribbean as this record-setting season of 2020 continues. Yeah, that's reason to hop for sure. Let's be done with this, but it's not going to end anytime soon. Y'all go out and have a safe Thursday.
I'm a lifelong Democrat, and I probably voted for Joe Biden.
Jerry Regan Long are a true odd couple. She's red, he's blue. During a time when Democrats and Republicans can't seem to agree on anything.
When Pennsylvania was called for Biden, and Biden was president, it felt like 100 pounds jumped off my back.
I'm saying it's not over till it's over. I think things are going to change. I really do think Trump's going to stay in office.
Il est tombé amoureux de son professeur.
We've looked at each other almost as strangers at many points the last several months.
At home in North Carolina, their house deeply divided, even after 15 years together and 5 children. I'm not sure how to phrase this delicately, but how the hell are you two married?
Well, ironically, we got a divorce from each other. We got remarried to each other just this past July. We've always known each other's political beliefs. They've never been an issue. That wasn't part of our first divorce to each other.
A marital tug of war where Mr. and Mrs. seem to come from 2 different planets. He wears a mask, she doesn't.
1, 2, 3.
She thinks the election was rigged. He thinks she's dead wrong.
He thinks I'm a conspiracy theorist, and
I like to deal with facts.
it seems we got very heated over this election. We would look at each other, sometimes in disgust of, who are you?
I feel like we have to give the Republicans some time. I know they're not accepting it right now.
And are you going to accept it if Trump stays in office? Are you going to move forward and heal?
I don't have to entertain that because I absolutely, unequivocally know that will not be the case.
And I know you will expect me to treat him with respect, and you would want our children to treat him with respect. I wish I could say the same that you did that for our current president. And that's the problem with our country.
What I hear from you two already, again, is part of this divide. Not that I'm right, you're wrong, but part of what I'm hearing, I think, is not only am I right, you're stupid.
Basically, I think that would be accurate.
In a nation so
Elle parle tout le temps d'amour.
Americans are becoming more strangers than neighbors. Political upheaval, economy fraction as the nation continues to reel from the COVID-19 pandemic. The White House still falsely beating the drum of a stolen election. Over a dozen lawsuits filed, most have failed. Attorney General William Barr authorizing an unprecedented federal probe of allegations of voting irregularities, despite a lack of evidence. GOP leaders rallying around the president, and Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Tuesday, refusing to accept President-elect Biden's victory.
There will be a smooth transition to a second administration.
Leading Americans to ask, how does a divided nation come together after a tumultuous election season? And when does the healing begin? Dr. Marielle Bouquet is a clinical psychologist who focuses on healing relationships, wounds, and trauma.
So when people feel as though
Il
some
a
aspect of their
famille.
life is being
Brésil.
they see people that are unlike them as an other, and they see that person as a likely target because they feel the need to protect themselves. And so in comes this experience of us and them, and so it creates this divisiveness, it creates the divide.
L'année prochaine, nous irons rendre visite à nos amis espagnols. À accent no. Visite. Visite. Amis. Visite. L'année prochaine, nous irons rendre visite à nos amis espagnols. Visite. À accent grave. Visite. À no. Amis. Espagnol.
Kujar Mostashvi lives just a few miles away in suburban Dayton. He immigrated from Iran, now works as a computer engineer, and is an active member of the local Democratic Party.
After the election, I was devastated. I was ready to cut
Son
every Republican out of my life.
These two
nouveau
seemingly
petit
irreconcilable differences became friends
ami
in a group then called Better Angels, which brings
a
together red
les
and blues, the goal of, quote, depolarizing America.
les
The group
les
is now called Braver Angels.
cheveux
Their goal is not to change minds, but to
marron
reach what they call accurate disagreement, which can lead to mutual understanding.
When you get past the stereotype part of everything, you gotta be. To me, it was nice to also see his other side and the fact that he wants to listen to me and learn about my background.
They ended up visiting one another's places of worship. Friendship grew from there. We caught up with them after this year's election results.
I believe that President Donald Trump will be inaugurated on January 20th, 2021.
Both men working for Ohio's Board of Elections, denying allegations of voter fraud in their own state, but Smith believing it's likely in other states.
I do believe that there'll be some blue
Et-
states that will have to flip
et
back over
marron
to,
châtain
president. So far, based on
châtain
allegations of fraud that have been brought on by Trump campaign, they have not brought up anything substantial.
Despite their differences, the two continue to forge common ground, a new season of uncertainty.
I think we need to start
marron
listening to each other. I mean, as citizens, we need to. This is
et
my
les
prayer every
yeux
night. We
châtain
need to start, reaching out to each other and, embrace each other. The best example is Greg and me. So I plead to the nation, try to have a respectful conversation and realize.
L'année prochaine, nous irons rendre visite à nos amis espagnols.
Christian, he's the mad Iranian, and we get along like Fred and Barney.
We have a host of different moral beliefs, and we still haven't necessarily learned how to bridge the conversation so that every perspective and every
Prochaine
moral code is accepted
année.
and integrated. We can start having conversations about how can we bridge each other's moral codes and find middle ground. I think that we can actually have conversations that can be more productive and more centered on how
Nous
we can progress on to the future.
But what happens when these
irons
fundamental disagreements live under the same roof?
For years, I was under the impression that she had voted for Barack Obama on the second term
iront
until I overheard her
rendre
at a party we were at, and
she had mentioned
Visite.
someone, Terry still doesn't know that I voted for Mitt Romney over Barack Obama. I said, what was that?
What was a typical kind of back and forth between you two over Biden-Trump? Wow, you both rode your own.
I mean, I'll be honest, we have gotten very heated. There's been some explicits, there's been some door slamming, there's been some bad name calling.
Sure, the long, fierce partisan squabbling might seem unsustainable, but they say it's all rooted in the one thing the world sorely needs: love. You clearly disagree on politics. How do you make your relationship work?
I truly feel what holds us together is we thrive being in survival mode constantly. We're a family of 7, and even though we've really been butting heads a lot lately, we're excellent partners as parents for the betterment of our kids. School and sports and church. And so there's times we'll give each other a high five or a fist bump. Even if we don't like each other, I'm like, gosh, we do this good together.
So why not just say, you know what, you stay on your side of the river, I'll stay on my side of the river, and good luck to you.
I think that's what we're going to have to do. And I do think if Biden gets in office, again, I have the personality to be respectful, to accept that, and to be the bigger
Laisse-moi
person. I
te
really do. I think that's
présenter
helpful to our
mon
marriage.
I think we can handle it better
vieil
with just her and
ami
I. It's
duo.
gonna get tough because I feel like it's just going to
Je dois aller au bureau de poste pour envoyer du courrier.
Teamwork is at the core of their union, the core of their healing. One team focused more on the future. What unites them, not what divides them. How do you two end the night if the day's been like this all day?
We pass out, like putting one kid to bed, the baby, another kid, brush your teeth.
Groundhog's Day. You start another day, and then literally a minute later, we're like, remember, you have to take so-and-so to that soccer practice, but I'm going to pick her up. And it's just like, yep, got it, okay, love you, and out the door we go. I think in 2021, things are really going to calm down, and I feel like it's not going to be top of mind as much as it is now.
What you're seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall. Recession migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
Fire is mega wrong. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
It's the fourth weekend of protest.
Watch NBC News on location for Facebook Watch.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. So if you like getting behind the biggest news stories of the day, inside all the details, the backstory, and what will happen next, then listen to Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. It's like no other news podcast out there. Even the critics agree. Listen free on Apple Podcasts.
This is what being live is all about. This is ABC News Live, the 24/7 streaming news source of ABC News. Breaking news, live events, streaming nonstop. Original breaking news storytelling from ABC News, National Geographic, ESPN, and it's all designed differently for you to stream straight to any screen whenever you want.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
ABC News Live. It's that easy to go there.
Courrier.
Let us be the nation that we know we can be. A nation united.
It's been 4 days since President-elect Joe Biden was projected the winner of one of the most fractious and divisive elections of our lifetime.
This is the time to heal in America.
And while the president-elect has offered words of comfort, the sitting president and his team continue to question the results, refusing to concede.
There will be a smooth transition to a second Trump administration.
Since their loss, President Trump and his legal team's latest maneuver? Reaching out to Republican-controlled state legislatures in
Vous
places like
aurez
Pennsylvania and Wisconsin
de
with
la
claims of voting irregularities.
chance de visiter cette ville algérienne.
To date, there is no evidence of those alleged ballots in question. The Trump team has also filed more than a dozen lawsuits in 5 states without apparent evidence. At least 8 of
Sarah est d'origine libanaise mais elle est espagnole. Je vais bientôt lui rendre visite à Madrid. Je vais rencontrer son fils et son mari.
Al Gore doing this 20 years ago, that was perfectly fine. So I know it's a bit of a double standard.
President Trump's strategy of delay and postpone, drawing
Sarah est d'origine libanaise mais elle est espagnole. Je vais bientôt lui rendre visite à Madrid. Je vais rencontrer son fils et son mari.
some in the Republican Party are rallying around the president's cause.
Sarah est d'origine libanaise mais elle est espagnole. Je vais bientôt lui rendre visite à Madrid. Je vais rencontrer son fils et son mari.
Il a de la famille au Brésil.
In presidential elections. The entire presidency came down to a few hundred votes in one state. And so you can imagine the fight that was waged over those votes.
This being billed as the polls
Son
close before the election as the
nouveau
closest election in a generation.
petit ami a les cheveux châtains et les marrons. L'année prochaine, nous irons rendre visite à nos amis espagnols.
National media outlets initially called Florida for Al Gore, only to backtrack a couple of hours later.
Stand by. CNN right now is moving our earlier declaration of Florida back to the too close to call column.
It was a terrible night for the mass media. All the networks called Florida for Gore. There was a problem, however. A part of Florida, the Panhandle, is in a different time zone, and they hadn't stopped voting. And it turns out that those votes, the networks thought, were enough to give George Bush the state. Then they call it for Bush.
By 3 a.m., multiple major networks reversed their Florida call in favor of Bush. But 2 hours later, they had all retracted.
It is now equally probable that either candidate can win.
At this point, neither George Bush or Al Gore had the necessary 270 electoral votes. Matt Dowd was the Bush campaign's director of polling and media planning.
I knew all along, and I related to the rest of the campaign, that I thought Florida was going to be the decision point of the race. Just from looking at all the polls, looking at all the data, and looking at all the demographics.
The night ended with no clear winner, and only a slim margin separated Gore and Bush from the White House. Problems with an outdated punch card system only compounded the confusion.
It looked like there were just, I think it was 300 some votes separating Bush from Gore and therefore the presidency. And so Gore decided to take the case to court. But only in a few counties. He wanted a handwritten.
Breaking exclusives from the campaign trail. Only ABC News gets. Behind the scenes, exclusive access.
Taking you inside for an extraordinary tour here on ABC News Live. This is it.
It's time to go there. Be there. Experience it. Live on the scene. Maybe that's why, in just 1 year, ABC News Live is already America's #1 live streaming news. And imagine this. It's free. Watch ABC News Live right now, anytime. Streaming on Roku, Hulu, Facebook, and abcnews.com.
ABC News Live.
Streaming everywhere, right to you.
Checking the top stories on this Friday, the U.S. has set another record for daily cases of coronavirus with a 71% increase in cases in the last 2 weeks. Hospitalizations have hit a record high for the third consecutive day. Some hospitals in the Midwest are running out of room.
President-elect Joe Biden is the projected winner in the state of Arizona, picking up its 11 electoral votes. China has now offered its congratulations to Biden on his election victory. Meanwhile, President Trump is reportedly telling allies that he may run for the White House again in 2024.
Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito is in the spotlight after speaking to conservative lawyers. He claimed religious believers in the U.S. are under threat from gay rights and abortion advocates. Alito also warned that freedom of expression is at risk.
Today's weather, a major storm barrels into the northwest, bringing heavy rain and feet of snow to the mountains. Rain also from Texas to the Midwest and some showers along the East Coast.
And finally, the emotional reunion between a mother and son.
Will Gann spoke to a man who found his birth mom after searching for decades.
The reunion between mother and son, 45 years in the making.
I've been searching for a long time. I always knew which adoption agency I came from. So I've contacted them 100 times.
In 1975, Brenda Van Sickle was only 16 years old when she delivered a baby boy.